Hey everybody, it's Matt from the house, and this video we're going to show you how to get up on a Wakesurfer behind the boat. Alright, so you just got yourself a Wakesurfer, and this is definitely one of the raddest things to do behind the boat, and just one of the biggest things to do actually behind the boat nowadays too. For those of you that don't know, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. You are basically behind your wakeboard boat, but you are surfing. You're following the boat around without even holding on to a handle. It's definitely, not only is it super fun to do, but it's one of the craziest feelings, especially if you've been doing a lot of water sports where you're holding on to a rope the entire time and following the boat around. The minute you let that rope go and you're going wherever the boat's going, it's a pretty crazy feeling, but definitely a super fun thing to do. And then obviously, if you've been getting up on, water skis and wakeboards and stuff like that, it's really easy to do because you're attached to it. But with the Wakesurfer, you're obviously not attached to it. And a lot of people think that it's a pretty hard thing to do, but it's actually just as easy as getting up on a wakeboard. It's more about knowing where to put your feet to keep your feet on the board when you do get up. Okay, so first thing you're gonna do, when you're riding a Wakesurfer is you're gonna have a little bit shorter rope. Usually the Wakesurfer ropes are like 20-25 feet. You're a little closer to the back of the boat, and it's nice too because a lot of the boats, if you're Wakesurfing, you're probably gonna be on a boat that's gonna have the rope up high too, which is nice. It gives that nice upward pull, so it does make it really easy to get up on top of the water. Plus these Wakesurfers have got so much surface area to them and so much volume, especially the ones that are a little bit thicker than this one, it does make it really easy to pop up on top of the water and stay on top of the water. But right off the bat, when you're getting into the water, make sure you got a life vest on. Obviously, it's the safe thing to do, but it's also gonna help because you're trying to get your feet up on top of this board, but you also need your upper body to float too. When you put your feet up on top of this board, if you don't have anything to float your upper body is gonna wanna go down. So make sure you have a life vest on, right off the bat, that's gonna make things 100 times easier. So first thing you wanna do, jump in the water. You'll basically be kind of floating in the water. I would just kind of hold on to the Wakesurfer here, and then I grab my rope in the other hand and just kind of, with some slack in the rope, just kind of chill out there for a second. And then as soon as your driver is ready, and this is definitely important for the drivers too, they're just as responsible to help you get up as you are, but just kind of float there when you got a little bit of slack in the rope. And then what you're going to do is hold the rope here. You're basically going to want to have it over the board. Don't have it off to the side. Don't be floating in the water like this, but you want that rope over the board so you're ready to get up. Now, pay attention when the boat driver, you're gonna kind of put the boat in idle, just kind of get it going. A lot of times too, you can give it a little bit just so the boat goes and then back it off just so the boat is slowly floating through the water, just so you can give the rider enough time to get their feet up onto the board. I'm gonna set this rope down right now just because obviously it's a little harder to do here in the studio, but you'll be seeing all this stuff on the on the little inserts here too. So again, hold on to that rope. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take both of your feet and you're actually gonna put them up on the board. Now with the board floating flat on the top of the water, you're not gonna put your feet in the middle of the board. A lot of people, it's kind of like, oh, I ride with my feet in the board. So they think I'm gonna put my heels in the middle of the board. But what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna set your heels kind of towards the edges of the board, towards the rail, back here in this line, not through the middle of the board. The reason we do that is that once that board flips up to our feet, we want our feet to actually be in the middle of the board. And if you put your heels in the middle of the board, when it flips up, your foot's gonna be up towards the toe edge of the board, and it's not gonna be very comfortable. It's not gonna make it easy to get up on, and also your feet are gonna be in a wonky position when you get up. So again, put your heels towards the back of the board. Now, here's where, once you're ready to go, here's where the boat driver, you're just gonna put the boat in idle. Basically, just get the boat so it's just kind of moving along very slow. We're gonna get that slack out of the rope. Now, there's the cool thing is once you get that slack out of the rope and you've got your heels on the board, basically the weight of your feet on the board pushing down, and when that board idles, is basically going to cause just enough pressure for that board to flip up and for your feet to be in the right position on the board. And then here too, you can actually look at your feet and you can wiggle them around just a tiny little bit. But again, once that boat's in idle, you can sit there with the board flat against your feet, holding onto the rope, and you're pretty much ready to go. Just wiggle your feet into position. And obviously they don't have to be perfect against the kick in the back here. You know, they don't have to be absolutely perfectly centered. You can always do that when you get up, but you definitely want them somewhere towards the middle of the board. Now, when you're ready to go, you basically, just like with a wakeboard, you're going to say, hit it, go, whatever it is that you like to say to your boat driver. And as soon as they do, they're just gonna slowly get you going. And obviously, the more experience you get, they can hit it and you can pop up right away. But have that boat driver, you know, start off kind of slow, because you will pop up very, very quick. So just like with getting up on a wakeboard, and there's actually some, we'll give you a quick little thing here, but definitely check out our video on how to get up on a wakeboard, because once you know how to get up on a wakeboard, it makes getting up on a wakesurfer much, much easier, and we'll have a few more tips there. But again, make sure you got your knees nice and tight. You got your knees to your chest, your body up in a ball, and you want your arms out as far as you can. You want to try to get your arms so the handle is actually in between the board and the boat. You don't want the handle between the board and your body. And the reason is if you try to pull yourself up, you're not getting up. If you try to stand up to get up, you're not getting up. You need to let the boat pull you forward as far as you can. Basically, as you lean forward and as your arms are out all the way, the boat is going to pull you up, and the board is naturally going to rise right up on top of the water with you on top of it. Once you feel it get up on top of the water, that's where you're actually going to stand up nice and slow. You're going to put your weight on your back foot. You're not going to lean back, but you're literally just going to shift your weight to your back foot a little bit, and the board's going to turn, and you're going to be riding. Even out your weight between your toes and your heels. If you feel yourself start to go one way or the other, just lean ever so slightly. You don't have to lean really, really hard. That's another big mistake that people get, is they get up and they start carving towards their heels, and then they lean really hard on their toes and the board shoots out. Nice, easy lean just to keep your feet centered on the board. And then you're pretty much good to go from there. And then obviously with wake surfing, the whole idea is to, you know, try to ride behind the boat without the rope. So things that you could do is you are gonna be riding at a little bit slower speeds. So as you're riding, the big things to remember is that your front foot is your gas, your back foot is your brake. If you lean forward a little bit, the board's gonna start to ride down the wake. If you lean back, it's gonna start plowing the water and it's gonna slow you down. And it's very, very subtle movements too. You don't want to lean a lot, but you're gonna basically take that rope, hold on to the handle, or if you've got a knotted rope, whatever it is, and you can kind of grab a hold of the rope and pull yourself a little bit closer to find that sweet spot on the wake. But from there on out, once you've learned to ride and cruise on this thing, now you start to try to find that sweet spot and get to that point where you feel that the board is riding on its own and the boat's not pulling it, and then you can toss the handle in the boat and start figuring out how to stay in that sweet spot. But again, pretty easy to do. It's not something you don't have to know how to wakeboard to get up on a wake surfer, but it definitely can help for sure. All right, well, thanks for checking out our video on how to get yourself up on a wake surfer. And then obviously a couple of tips there to help keep you going. But if you got any questions beyond any of the stuff we talked about in this video, leave us some comments down below. We're on there every single day answering your questions. You know, we want to make sure we get you some rad gear, but we also want to make sure that you can use it as well. Like, subscribe, definitely make sure to get that bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop. And yeah, no matter what kind of wake surfer you got or what skill level you are, get out and ride, because any day of riding is a good day of riding.